Hello everyone and welcome back to, oh yeah, I forgot about that, where today I'm going to have a breakdown talking about the Garden of Salvation weapon, where I'm going to break down the Garden of Salvation weapon perk rolls to see if there's anything that you should actually bother go getting in this raid. As of the release of this video for the next week, from the 10th to the 17th, Garden of Salvation is the featured raid, which is why I'm putting out this video right now. I should have put it out a while ago, but I forgot. Also, the Dawning is currently going on, and if you are an emblem gremlin, you can swing by my Twitch page, twitch.tv/Datto. They're doing a gifted sub emblem thing. Just look at the chat, ask a question if you need more information. Look at the description. I don't care where you look for the information, but you can get an emblem if you gift a sub. That's going on for the next 3 weeks. Let's talk about some freaking weapons. First up, we have Sacred Providence, a pretty good weapon when it was first released way back when, and I would say a pretty good weapon right now. But what I want to do with this video is also compare two things that have come out somewhat recently and what has come out somewhat recently. Blast Furnace. Blast Furnace came out with Into the Light, and it could roll with arguably some of the best perk combinations that we have ever seen on a pulse rifle, or like any weapons, really, if you look at any of the weapons from Into the Light. So, do I think you need to go farm for a Sacred Providence if you have a well-rolled Blast Furnace that you enjoy using already, at least for PvE purposes? Not really. It's not that Sacred Providence is a bad weapon or anything. Again, we have a lot of good perks on here. You got Stats for All, you got Demo, you have a new perk Lone Wolf, maybe more of a PvP thing. You got Rapid Hit on here, Kill Clip, you got Kinetic Tremors, you got One for All, you got a Head Seeker. Like, there's a lot of good stuff on this thing. I don't mean to say like it's bad or anything like that. It's just that if you already have a Blast Furnace or like some other PvP pulse rifle that you enjoy using, there would need to be something here that is over the top or like really specific that you would want in order for you, I think, to go farm it. Otherwise, you can pump the brakes. In terms of perks that you would actually want to use on this thing, I mean, I just kind of mentioned them. You could do like a Stats for All, One for All. You guys know that I love any sort of for all type perks. I think they're very, very easy to use. You do have Rapid Hit on here, like a Rapid Kill Clip. That's a little more traditional. You could do like a Rapid Hit Head Seeker, and if you're doing some kind of a PvP thing, you could also sprinkle in Lone Wolf. I know people have been liking Lone Wolf, so maybe it's more like a Lone Wolf Head Seeker kind of a situation for PvP. Obviously, there's Kinetic Tremors right here, which a lot of people really like. I haven't really been the hugest Kinetic Tremors fan, but it is there if you want it. So yeah, there's a lot of good options on this pulse rifle. It's just that I don't think you need it if you've played the game during 2024, like, or at least Into the Light, right? If you didn't play Into the Light, then sure, this is obviously a very strong contender as a weapon. But otherwise, yeah, like, you already got a Blast Furnace. I think you're kind of chilling. Next up, we have Accrued Redemption, which is the first precision frame kinetic bow since Biting Winds in Beyond Light. So basically like a lifetime ago. Do I think the average person needs to farm for an Accrued Redemption? No, as it's a bow and bows are a bit more niche. But if you are a bow enjoyer, this has like the cream of the crop perks when it comes to bows. You got Archer's Tempo, you got Archer's Gambit, you have Kinetic Tremors, which activates in 2 shots if you enhance it. You got Firefly on this thing if you really want it. You got Explosive Head on this thing if you want it. So this thing is like the most up to date on perks. I mean, that makes sense because it just re-released. So if you are some kind of a bow enjoyer, I know the overwhelming majority of people are going for Archer's Tempo and Kinetic Tremors on this thing because it's the first time you can get Kinetic Tremors on a bow, I believe. We'll double check that with some text on the screen. That being said, I am much more of an exotic bow kind of guy. I think the exotic bows pretty much, like, if not all of them, then most of them are very, very good. And I almost always encourage their use in PvE over a legendary bow in like 99% of cases. I would still probably lean towards the exotic bows just personally. But if you are a bow enjoyer or you want to do some sort of Kinetic Tremors 2-tap, 2-shot situation, this is, I think it is worthy of your time. And it also drops from the first encounter, which can be done incredibly quickly. So yeah, it's a good bow. You just gotta like bows. Next up, we have Omniscient Eye, which is a rapid frame solar sniper with a set of perks that I think are a bit easier to lock in on. We have Envious Arsenal, we have Fourth Time's the Charm. I think most people are going to be leaning towards Fourth Time's the Charm. And then we have Precision Instrument or Vorpal Weapon. Remember, Vorpal Weapon is 15%, not 10% like power weapons, against all bosses, flat, all the time, right? Whereas Precision Instrument, you need to build it over time. And eventually, yes, it will surpass Vorpal Weapon over a long enough period. But if you're maybe fighting a boss that isn't very easy to crit, maybe you don't have a divinity, maybe you're just not that good at hitting crits, I would probably lean towards Vorpal Weapon because you're going to have that guaranteed bonus damage as opposed to Precision Instrument, which is very unforgiving as a perk, right? Because you got to hit every single snipe. If you are working with Divinity, easy crits, obviously, Precision Instrument, I think, over a long enough period is the way to go. You do also have Envious Arsenal here, which I do think has some use, but you have to have this correct, like, weapon setup for it, right? Like, I don't know how much I would be using Omniscient Eye in some sort of, like, Envious bait-and-switch GL sort of combo thing where you just want to tap with each weapon once to reload your grenade launcher. Well, then, I mean, really, like, it almost doesn't even matter if you pick Envious over Fourth Time's the Charm. I think you just need the right encounter for Envious Arsenal. Like, it's not a bad pick, but, like, if you're mainly using your sniper to do damage, you might want to do Fourth Time's the Charm. But I could also see some worlds where, like, you're pumping through all your snipe shots, and then you switch to another weapon, you pump through all those shots, you switch to another weapon, you pump through all those shots. Maybe you're not exactly doing, like, a bait-and-switch thing. What I'm trying to say is it's situational. It's good, but you need the right setup for it. Most of the time, I think you can just kind of lean on Fourth Time's the Charm. It just depends on what your loadout is. PvP-wise, I've seen some people trying out Lone Wolf and Snapshot. I still like Snapshot, even though it got nerfed like forever ago on snipers. I still really like it. I think this is also quite good. I don't know if I'd go Closing Time. Like, I get it, but, like, I personally wouldn't. I think I'd probably lean more towards Snapshot. So this is some kind of like a PvP role if you're interested in that. But yeah, otherwise, like, you got these 4 perks to work with in some sort of a combination that works for you. Next up, we have Ancient Gospel. This is a 140 RPM Void Hand Cannon, which kind of feel rare, even though they're maybe not the most rare thing in the game. Before this, we had Exalted Truth from Trials, which was mainly PvP oriented when it came to the perks on it. And then we've had Palindrome, which was universally loved across pretty much all aspects of the game, PvE, PvP. There was something there for you. That being said, with Ancient Gospel, you know, I'm mainly probably looking at destabilizing rounds and then something. Probably leaning towards explosive payload. The thing about this hand cannon is, like, there's a lot of stuff on here that I feel like you can get from other sources or even close enough to Palindrome that you could probably just keep rocking the Palindrome. So if you're not into, like, destabilizing rounds, explosive payload, something like that, like, this is the role that I'd be going for. So you need to think to yourself, am I going to be using a destabilizing rounds, explosive payload, Void Hand Cannon? Is that something I am interested in? Because if not, the odds are very high that you have some other hand cannon or void hand cannon that offers you something pretty close to what this is offering you now, not including destabilizing rounds. So that's just kind of the call that you need to make. Yeah, we have like a gimmicky role in Rampage and Kill Clip, but I'm looking for strictly Nagiri coming out of the holes, brother. Like, I'm not really into the you know, this kind of gimmicky thing. I think it was more fun way back when it was like a very extreme novelty. Nowadays, like, yeah, okay, fine, if you want to go crazy, but if I had to pick between the two, I'd probably be going with destabilizing and explosive payload. Do I think you could like do like a Lone Wolf Closing Time situation on this hand cannon? Sure, if you want to. If you don't happen to have one of like 14 different good hand cannons out there, they just gave out a God Roll Rose, right? I don't know if you could still even pick that up. You might be able to. So like, sure, if you want to try out this very specific thing, go for it. It's the third encounter, which, you know, it may be a little bit longer if you're not one cycling. You know, you got Eye of the Storm as well if you want to do that. But yeah, I just stop talking. There you go. That's everything. Next up, we have Reckless Oracle, a rapid-fire 720 RPM void auto rifle. The last time we had one of these was Reckless Oracle, the first time it came out. The riposte, it's a lightweight frame. It is 720. It is void. It is an auto rifle, but it's a lightweight frame. That's the gotcha. Rapid fire frame, first one that we've had in multiple years. The old one, I think it had like Outlaw Kill Clip was like one of the best perk rolls on it back before we had, like things like destabilizing and repulsor brace and all that kind of stuff. So it was okay, but this one updated. It's a bit better. It's got some more options. Obviously, I say very often, work with the things that the game is giving you, right? If you're getting a void auto and it's giving you destabilizing repulsor brace, I totally get it. Use that combo, right? Especially because like Overshield's got a little bit better in episode 2. So I definitely foresee a lot of people just going for destabilizing repulsor brace, call it a day. I can also see some people using paracausal affinity, destabilizing rounds, something like that. It's very natural to just want to lean in towards like the voidness of the weapon, right? Because like, sure, you could do like subsistence one for all. That's a good combo. You could do subsistence paracausal affinity. That's a good combo. But you can get subsistence on like a lot of other things. You can't get destabilizing rounds and repulsor brace on everything. You can't get destabilizing paracausal affinity on everything in the game. So I can understand wanting to lean more towards the void-oriented things on this auto rifle compared to any other thing, even if like subsistence one for all is really, really good, right? If we compare to like something like the riposte, it can also get repulsor destabilizing rounds. So like if you already have a riposte with destabilizing repulsor brace, what else are we really looking at? Recoil direction? I mean, they both are like kind of not great, right? Then we just got to start comparing to other void autos just in the game in general. You got to look at like Rasa. That can get subsistence onslaught. I actually reviewed that weapon roll individually on the channel, and I was very impressed with it. It's very good, but you're subject to RNG to get it, and it's also not 720 RPM. So if you like 720 RPM specifically, then your options are limited. Then going beyond something like that, you have like Age-Old Bond, which is like a 360 RPM void auto, which is also from a raid, but like as of this video, 360 RPM autos are just like not like that great. So maybe if they ever do become great, everyone's going to switch over to Age-Old Bond. I don't really know. But yeah, Reckless Oracle, I mean, if you are going to go for this thing, which, I think it's higher on the list in terms of like where I think your priority should be in terms of like farming. But you got to like destabilizing repulsor brace. You got to have a build for it, or you have to have just like the desire to use that role in the first place. Next up, we got Zealot's Reward, which is the first rapid-fire void fusion rifle since Likely Suspect, which was one of the first crafted weapons ever made available in the entire game. This, I think, has been primarily used as a PvP weapon because this has closing time and under pressure, both of which are going to be very, very active on your weapon, the strongest they can be, because you're not really getting that much special ammo in PvP, right? Most of the time, you got like, what? Couple shots in your gun at the most. So you're always going to have a small magazine or very few amount of shots left in your magazine, which means these perks are going to be at their maximum potential pretty much every single time you fire it. That's a very difficult thing to give up for PvP. So if you are going to do some sort of PvP fusion stuff, this is what you're looking for. If you're looking for like a PvE thing, now I'm kind of getting vibes of like, oh, we're going back to like null composure and stuff like that. I mean, you literally could just make null composure 2.0 and just get auto loading and reservoir burst, and that's it. We do also have controlled burst, which I do think is like, it's arguably the best fusion rifle perk in the game for any kind of sustain. It's one of the best perks in the game in general. And I think I'd probably be going with auto loading holster and controlled burst if I'm looking for a role that I would actually want to use on this thing. This would be my priority to craft. Could you do subsistence, maybe like reservoir burst subsistence, something like that, to just get like a bunch of giga shots in a row? You could, but I think this is mainly be for fun, because if you're using your fusion on like enemies that are weak enough to die in one shot to a rapid fire fusion rifle, you're probably not doing anything like super serious, or you're just like wasting your ammo. It's not a very good idea. So this is fun, but like realistically, do I think you're going to be messing around with this? Not really. If you do want to mess around with destabilizing rounds, you totally can. Destabilizing reservoir burst, I could see like being at least a little entertaining to some degree. But, if we are looking to get serious, then I'm probably just going auto loading holster, controlled burst, kind of call it a day. The rapid fire frame fusion rifle competition is actually quite fierce, although this does have the advantage of being in a different slot to Scatter Signal and Riptide, both of which are very, very good fusion rifles. They just happen to be in the kinetic slot. So yeah, there's a lot of good rapid fire fusions out there. A lot of good ones. Finally, we have Prophet of Doom Precision Frame Arc Shotgun. This, again, more of a PvP thing. I think the current reigning champion, or the previous reigning champion, was Matador from Grasp of Avarice, the Ogre boss, and that could get a very good roll. And I've talked to a lot of people, and I know when I see some of these hardcore PvP friends of mine grinding Garden so that they can get a weapon, that it's probably better than the thing that they have. And I see a lot of people with Prophet of Doom, and people are going for Threat Detector, and they're going for Closing Time. This is the role. I've literally been threatened into telling people that this is the role to get if you are looking for a PvP shotgun. This is it. Threat Detector, Closing Time, just get it. Now, PvE-wise, this does have the premier perks that you would want to see on a shotgun. It's got 1-2 punch. It's got trench barrel. Reconstruction's new. It's here too. So you could pick up some stuff for PvE if you want it as well. I think you'd probably be leaning more towards like 1-2 punch on this shotgun, not necessarily trench barrel. But the odds are also that you probably have a shotgun that has 1-2 punch on it. And 1-2 punch is really just kind of the thing that you use to activate other things on your build. So like I tend to say like it doesn't really matter what shotgun you got 1-2 punch on if you're doing like a Liar's Handshake type setup, right? Something like that where it's just like you just want the 1-2 punch so you can set up the punch. Am I really in that big of a hurry to go like craft a Prophet of Doom specifically for PvE related things? No, this is a PvP choice through and through. If you want to get this thing, it's not that it's unusable for PvE. It's just not where I think there's going to be a huge priority to go get this thing. Again, if you got a trench barrel shotgun already, you probably just have like, this is probably not going to replace it, right? If you got a 1-2 punch shotgun already, this is probably not going to replace it unless you just like really want reconstruction or something like that, or you really want Envious Arsenal, something like that. Those are all of your weapons from Garden. So yeah, like priority crap. I mean, if you're a PvPer, Zealot's Reward if you're a fusion user, Prophet of Doom if you're a shotgun user, those are very, very good, right? Very, very good weapons. Prophet of Doom should probably already be in your inventory if you're any kind of a hardcore PvPer who wants like the best of the best shotguns. But PvE wise, Accrued Redemption is like, it's got to be close to best in slot, or like it's got to be really up there, but you got to really enjoy bows, right? Everything else, like Omniscient Eye, it's good. I think it's something that'd be nice to have in like the back pocket. Ancient Gospel, I think you gotta like this combination. Like if you're not willing to use this combination, like do I think it's that high of a priority? Not really, unless you just really want to avoid hand cannon, right? Reckless Oracle kind of is like same deal. Yeah, it's like they're good. They're all good. It's just a matter of do you want it, right? Do you want it? Nothing here, you know. It's not like Chill Inhibitor from the dungeon, where it's like, this is best in slot, and it's not that bad to go get because you could literally just buy it off of a vendor right now. This is a little more nuanced. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.